Welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I'm Danielle DeTeach, or Coach Danny D, and I help women to create luxury brands by creating processes and tightening their branding. This is where we talk about how to build your business in a way that allows you to work with ease and enjoy your life. My happy space is spending as much time as humanly possible in my pajamas, and I want to help others to find their happy space while still running profitable businesses. So get comfortable and let's dig in. Hello and welcome to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I am your host, Coach Danny D, and I'm the owner of Workflow, where I help small businesses play big while creating their luxury brands. I have the Profits in Pajamas podcast because I love to talk about how you can have a work with ease lifestyle, have work-life balance, and still have a profitable business. So today, we are lucky to have a guest on, and we have Sheila Fluker, and she is of the Balloon Queens in Dallas, Texas. Well, she's from Dallas, Texas. Are you still in Dallas?
No, I'm in South Carolina.
All right, she's in South Carolina. I'm like, I didn't think you were still in Dallas. So she's originally from Dallas, and she's in South Carolina, and she's the chief operating officer at the Balloon Squad, and she has a retail store. I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit more about herself and her story and her background. But I just wanted to introduce, you guys to her. Some of you may already know her from the balloon community. If you are a part of that community, we have other listeners, and if you don't know her already, you're about to get to know her very well. And we're going to have a wonderful conversation. And the topic that we're going to talk about today is having a grown-up business. We both started from, hobby to business, to kind of playing around with it. And now, we're in that grown folks lane. And so we're going to try to help everybody to get in that grown folks lane. This is a grown folks conversation. So Sheila, introduce yourself, and I would love for you to share your story, because I love hearing about how people started on their entrepreneurial journey and how they progressed. So, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got on this journey.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I am Sheila, aka the Balloon Queen. Like Danielle said, I'm the COO of the Balloon Squad. So we have a studio in Dallas, Texas. We have a retail store here in Columbia, South Carolina, and we are standing up a North Carolina, Charlotte location. Should be open September 15th is our open date that we're going with right now. But so look for that. Yeah, so my thing is retail. I love that aspect, that model. I am a two-time combat veteran. I was in the military for 17 years, which kind of pushed me into the whole balloon world. I got hurt my last tour in Iraq, and suffered a few injuries, as well as being diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and severe depression. So I was forced to do a medical discharge. And I really just felt like a failure. Like my whole life was like committed to the Army. Like that was my thing. That's what I was going to do. If I show you my senior book from when I was a senior in there, I had, be all I can be in the Army. Like I already knew what I was going to do. So, I, went through my depression phase for about 4 or 5 months, and to where I really didn't want to do anything. But I remember one day my daughter was just kind of like, well, Ma, you don't want to take care of us? Like, so we said, we keeping it real right then.
Right, no, keep it 100, because somebody has been there, you know what I'm saying? And we all have had some moment in our lives where we were just stuck and we were stalled.
Right. And this was a stuck moment. Like I didn't even feel like bathing, y'all. Like it was bad. So I, decided to get up and get out. A friend of mine invited me to church. And it was the church anniversary. And so I remember she was like on the decorating committee or something. And, you know, I went, I was like, I'm about to see these people sit in the church, and which I love God, don't get me wrong. And, but I just didn't feel like it. But I went and they had this food in the back in the fellowship hall, and, you know, was decorated nicely. And I'm like looking at this balloon column, and I was like, what is that? Like, I guess I had never paid attention to the fact that it's other things to do with balloons instead of just on a ribbon. And I was just so intrigued by it. I asked her, you know, who did those balloon things? And, you know, she's like, it's a balloon column, da, 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 da. You know, she did it. And she had been my friend forever. I didn't even know this chick knew how to do anything with balloons. But, and we're like best friends now, still to this day. But she's like, yeah, just go on YouTube. It's really easy. And I was just like, okay. So, you know, I went on YouTube, started trying to play with it a little bit. Epic fail, but I felt good doing it. Right. So with my military background, I was like, I'm always about education and training. So I was like, I wonder if somebody could teach me how to do this. So I get online, find this school in Florida. It was like a year-long wait list. But I called the lady, Linda Kiss. I called her, and you know, we were just chopping it up, talking, and she's like, yeah, it's a wait list, da 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 da. And we was talking, and I think she had her husband or her dad were in the military. And so she's like, I know exactly what you're going through. I know how you're feeling. If you can get here this weekend, then come on. So I told my husband, look, you got to drive me to Florida. So,
right. Look at God.
And we went to Florida. He went for support. And because I couldn't lift anything or do anything, you know, so he was kind of like in there to help me, you know, lift and do whatever. It was like a 2-week course. And so he was kind of listening, what you call it, subliminally.
Yeah.
Like he was there, but he wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah. And so right after that, we got back home and people started calling, you know, I'm like posting on Facebook, look what I learned, y'all, look what I'm doing. I really wasn't like into it for a business. It was just kind of like, I'm doing something now. Right. And people were like, can you do my baby's party? Oh, you know, can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm like, okay. So we turned it into a business. People were calling. The demand got kind of high fast, but it really wasn't high. It was just fast because I was just starting. So, and then furlough happened. So my husband, he had a government job at the time, and furlough happened. So it was a government shutdown, and I really needed the help. So, I mean, it was just, God worked it out to where, you know, he never went back after furlough. And we have been, you know, in business full time together 5 years now. Wouldn't change a thing. He's actually the CEO, so he kind of oversees everything, and I'm more the operations girl because I like systems, I like different processes, so yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. I mean, and for those people that get into the education part of things, I do have a master's in business, looking to go back and do my PhD in business as well. So like I said, I do love the business aspect of it, but I love balloons. I love making people happy. I love the way it makes people feel. And so with that to wrap it all up, the whole thing with being sad and being depressed and, you know, really being down, I just kind of vowed to spending my days making people happy and always making it a point to say, you know, how you doing today, or giving somebody a smile, because I just feel like you never know what a person is going through on the inside that they're not really, you know, sharing with other people. So that's why I love the industry, and I love working with business owners as well, because we struggle. And sometimes we don't want to let people know, but, you know, I'm all about just listening ears and showing people that it doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you end. And as long as you keep trying every day, let's get it.
And that is beautiful. There's so many things I can unpack from your story, but the main thing that I want to touch on is just starting with, can I keep it real? Because we have to be able to keep that realness, that honesty. And like you said, you know, look, business ownership ain't for the faint at heart. It's a lot.
Right.
It's a lot going on, and it doesn't, you know, your regular life does not stop because you're a business owner. So, you know, depression, anxiety, life events are going to happen. Right. And you're a business owner, you know, and so it's not the same as if you say, I'm gonna take these bereavement days from work.
Okay.
because you look, you are work. you know, you when you take off, everything is also it, we do have to think about that, and we have to think about our emotional capacity. How do we, how do we make sure that the business is not contributing to our emotional stress?
Right. And it will, because even in the beginning, it was taking me out. When the virus hit, that was a whole different level of, stress and just your mental state on top of, just being safe. And, me and my husband do this together. Right. So like, this is my money. This is
right. No, so it's just like, it went like everybody was like, shut the door. And you like, okay.
I keep a window open. Come and get this balloon bouquet out this window or something.
No, but it's definitely true. And even now we're coming out of COVID and we're going into inflation.
Right.
And so that is having an effect on people. And that's really one of the main reasons why I want to have this conversation about grown folks' business, because when you have it set up as a hobby or, haphazard, when you don't have, you said systems, and that goes right to my heart because I'm a systems girl. If you don't have those systems in place, if you have not been strategic about your business, when these things happen, which they're going to happen.
Right.
They've happened before. You talked about furlough, that, that was years ago, but it happened. I remember it well. And other things are going to continue to happen through the course of your business.
Right.
Not to say that every business is not going to be affected, because like with COVID, like you said, everything was shut down. Yeah. So, regardless of where your business was, it was affected in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
But if you position yourself in a certain way, you can ride those storms a little bit better.
Exactly.
It's not saying that they're not going to come, but, I kind of was feeling the same way. Now, my husband works outside of, the business. So there was some security there, but I'm like, I've been, I've never not been bringing money into the household.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was a weird
place because you have to restructure.
Right. And I was like, some of it was just purely psychological, because I'm like, okay, the light's still on, food's still here. But it just was something about, my whole life, my whole adult life, I've always brought money into the household. And right now I'm like, where's my money?
Even if it's your play money, or even if it's your purse money, or whatever, is the fact that you can't do what you want to do without a system or a plan in place. You can't prepare for everything, but try to, have some foresight in what could happen, or, be well prepared for the obvious, I guess you would say.
Yeah. And and that's the thing, is being prepared. Like, again, we can't, if a disaster happens, we can't say, that's not going to happen. I'm from New Orleans. Katrina happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't say that, if you do this, nothing's ever going to happen to your business. But it's that security of knowing you don't have to, you don't have to lose it all.
Right.
Just because something happened in your business.
Exactly.
One thing I want to touch on, because I know this conversation is going to go, vastly. So before we get too deep into it, I know the first thing that, kind of drew us into this conversation was your knowledge about business credit. And so I want to make sure you get that out there and, talk to the audience about why is it important for entrepreneurs to set up business credit.
Okay, so with that, which is like, it falls under the perfect topic, like being grown folks. Like my business is not drinking milk. We ain't on Similac no more. Like they eat steak and potatoes. We rolling. And don't get me wrong, it took a while to get there. and education played a big part in that. I feel like business credit is so important just because it makes you stand out. You stand out from a lot of people, even if you were doing your business at home, it doesn't matter if you have a store at home, in your basement, a studio, whatever the case may be. Having business credit helps you stand out from that person that is, maybe doing it on the side or not really counting the numbers or making money. They just, making things here or there. But it gives you a name in the corporate space. When you're talking business credit and structuring things correctly, having the right email and, just different little things like that, when you're trying to go get different accounts, things are already set up for you, or not set up for you, but you just look real, look like you look right on paper.
Right.
So I remember I didn't know anything about business credit. So we opened our first store here in Columbia. And when I tell you, I literally had 10 balloons on the wall, trying to be like Party City. That's why I feel like identity is so important.
Right.
So trying to be like Party City, I got like 10 balloons on the wall with this black felt, I wish I had the picture, this black felt paper thing behind us. Oh my God, it was horrible. 10 balloons on the wall. Mind you, if anybody came in and said they wanted a Minnie Mouse, that Minnie Mouse head was coming off of that wall. Like that was my inventory.
That was a part of the inventory.
Yes,
I understand.
So I'm like, I remember this lady, she comes in, she says she wants this column or whatever. And I had got all these balloons from Party City, like in these bags and stuff. And she says she wanted this column. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, how are we going to get this? I had no money because the business was open. I got a really good deal on my first retail space. So I wasn't like paying a lot there, but I still had no money. I had no money to really keep going. It was like, you pay me, now I got money, but really wasn't money because I'm buying your stuff and I'm,
right.
As it goes, right? So I called a distributor and I'm like, look, I am starting this business. I'm doing balloons. I don't have anything. Like, is it any way y'all can let me like get some balloons and I pay you back later? Like oblivious to the fact, I didn't even know this was a thing. And the lady's like, you mean a net 30? And I was like, oh, so what is that? And so she begins to explain, what was going on and how that works, whatever. I'm like, y'all about to give me $2,500 worth of balloons and I don't have to pay you right now? Right. Sign me up. So, I opened a net 30 account, went through that process, and then I started to research like net 30s and business credit cards and just, all of this stuff. And that's when I decided to go back and get my master's. I had already had a bachelor's, but I decided to go back and learn a little bit more about business. And so I just started diving deep into the business credit world because, we weren't making the money, and I needed something to stop funding. When people come in, I'm like, oh, well, let me find the money and order their product. And then now they pay me when it's delivered. And so I'm getting paid. Like, it was just a whole big mess. So I just believe in business credit on being, set up properly, have your net accounts, have your gas cards, and responsibly. Now, I'm not saying get people's stuff and don't pay them their money or get more than you can handle. But, just kind of coming up with a plan to let that kind of fund itself. Like now my vehicles are in my business name. I have an apartment in Charlotte. I have an apartment in Columbia, and just thinking outside of the box. So I have corporate leases. So not only is the stuff in the business name, I operate one of them as an Airbnb. So I got a place to stay when I'm in North Carolina, and then I'm making money. So I'm really staying for free. So just really like thinking outside of the box and letting the business take care of itself, because for a long time we were like putting the money that we did have into the business to, fund different things. Like I didn't pay myself. I know for a fact at least a good year and a half, maybe even 2 years, we weren't even getting paid because I didn't know how to do it properly. Right. Which kind of rolls up into the whole systems and stuff. I was offering everything under the sun and letting people tell me what I offer instead of knowing myself. So just coming up with systems and catalogs and when we order and what colors we carry, just kind of streamlining those, those systems and processes to kind of make it easier and just make my life better and cut down on the stress when it comes to work. I hope that makes sense because I know I talk fast, but
No, it makes sense. I talk fast too. I have to practice. I have to practice talking slower. And when I get excited, I talk faster. And business makes me excited. So, it's a whole thing. I have to practice. But just again, the topic, just grown folks business, just setting things up. The last part of what you said was that, so I'm not stressed.
Right.
A lot of times we are creating our own stress.
Right. Exactly.
In the business. And we saying it's the customer or that's just how business is, but it's not. It's that we're not, the first part of being grown to me is figuring out what your problems are and finding solutions.
Right.
And a lot of times in business, we just roll with that's just how it is, or we just keep rolling, whatever it is. We just keep rolling. But like you said, okay, so somebody gave you a piece of information. This is, what a net 30 is, but you didn't leave it there.
Right.
You went and said, wait, hold up now this, you didn't open a whole new door. Right. Let me go find out what's behind this door. We have to do that more in our businesses. We have to be more thoughtful in our businesses. And then, you took it to the next level. Like, well, if I'm gonna have this apartment, I'm about to make it an Airbnb. So now I've brought in another, form of income. Right. But you can't do any of that if you never really sit with your business.
Yeah. And I have met people that, didn't have EIN numbers, and you got to start somewhere. Don't get me wrong, because we don't all start off correctly. Right. But I do feel like it's important to the closest as you can get to making that foundation right the first time, the better. Because I have met people, I have people that I work with that have been in business 10, 15 years, don't have a business bank account, don't have EIN numbers, don't have Dun & Bradstreet numbers. Like, all of these things are important. Even when you want to move up to get like your government contracts and stuff like that, like you need that stuff to play big. Like you gotta go big or go home. So when you don't have that stuff and you complaining that people giving you $25, but who are you? Like,
right.
I'm just gonna send you, my $1,000 for 2 arches or whatever the case may be. Like you got to be ready to play and be ready to look the part if you want to play with the big wigs. And you need to be a big wig. Like it's nothing wrong with
it. You don't have to be big to be big. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You don't have to. I was talking to one of my coaching clients, and I always start with figuring out what is your thing. What do you want? Because that's what we got to start is where, what do you want? Because the sky's the limit, but we got to know what you want. Exactly. And she said, well, I want this, that, and the other. She said, but I really would like to be a 6-figure business, but I don't think you could do that out of your home. And why not? I do.
Right. Okay.
You can do whatever you want, but it's one, deciding what that is, and 2, figuring out what you need to do to get there.
Right.
And like you said, having your paperwork in order. A lot of people are attracted to me because I work with a lot of corporate clients and they want to know how to do that. You know how many times I was able to secure an account because they said, can you send me over your EIN number and your certificate of secure insurance? And I was able to get that to them within an hour.
Right.
Because I already had it. So all I had to do was add them to my insurance, and that was what made it take an hour. Otherwise, they would have had it in 5 minutes.
Exactly. And that's the key.
That's the things that make a difference, because those are the things that they're looking for to know that you're legitimate, especially in this age where people open up businesses, faster than, you change clothes.
Left and right.
Left and right. They want to know that you're here for the long run. You know what I'm saying? And then from your standpoint as a business owner, whenever they were doing all the stuff with the PPP loans and everything, and what was it, the grant, the one that was a grant. I was on a webinar and they were talking about how, minorities and, those businesses were not getting that money. And so I was like, I know stuff go on, but that was bothering me. So I asked the question, and it wasn't that the system was discriminating against us. It was that we didn't have the paperwork. We couldn't show income. We couldn't show that we had legitimately registered our businesses.
Right.
We couldn't show all of that. So, in the midst of, COVID, like you said, everything shuts down and you sitting up there looking at the wall, trying to figure out what's about to happen. Because, my bills still due. There's resources there that you can't even tap into because you don't have your paperwork, you don't have your affairs in order.
Exactly. Which is easy to do if you just do it in the beginning.
Right.
And get the help. Tell somebody you don't know. Like, everybody want to boost and brag and, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I work for myself. Baby, working for yourself ain't that easy because you're working longer for yourself than you working this 9 to 5.
Right.
But at least get your stuff in order the first time. If that means hiring a coach, if that means taking a free class on YouTube, whatever the case may be, research, like everything is out there. It's about how much time you want to spend doing it. But if you research or pay somebody to tell you, okay, what do I need to do? Because that really saves you money in the long run because you're trying to figure it out. But if you get somebody, invest in yourself, invest in the education to learn what it is you need to do to make yourself right, then I just feel like it's always it's always worth it. It's always worth it, especially when you begin with the end in mind. Like, know where you want to go, know what you want to have, and that way, that process it makes it easier.
No, I 100% agree with that, and I think a big part of it, like you said, invest with the end in mind, and why that is so important. I see people post all the time, I'm looking for an affordable this, I'm looking for this that don't cost the arm and a leg. Stop looking for things based off of price.
Right.
Look at them based on result.
Exactly.
Because you could sit there and say based on price. I saw a post today. The lady was upset because the people messed up her wedding cake. And they did mess it up. It was legit burnt. It was, you can see a layer of like black. No. Yes, ma'am. But she said the lady, it was a 3-tiered cake and it was like $275. And I'm like, a $275 3-tier wedding cake. I kind of know that's how that was gonna end up. You know what I'm saying? Like, not saying that that's right, not saying that person should have given her something in that condition, but I'm using that example just to say, like, we keep trying to look at the price,
right,
instead of the result. I'm sure somebody quoted that lady actual price, right, that was going to deliver what she wanted, but you went with the lower price, and then now you are disappointed. I get people come in and, it's like you done been to 4 or 5 people before, right, and still haven't gotten a result. And if you add up, because you saw that $99 or whatever it was, and when you add it up, though, when you done been to, 5 people, you could have paid that $500.
You could have just went on and paid the $500.
You could have paid the $500 the first time, because now not only have you lost money, but you lost time. Yep. Aggravation, and it's harder to come behind somebody that did messed up than it is to get it in the first place.
Most definitely.
So it's just learning to invest in your business, and knowing that investment comes back, and it doesn't. We have to start thinking long term.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we're thinking about immediately, that money, I did this today, then I want to see something tomorrow. that's not how investment works.
And that's like one thing I live by. My words I live by: education, execution, and patience. Like, stop looking at stuff thinking like, compare. A lot of times, especially I know in our industry, a lot of people look at other people's businesses and they say, oh, well, they're doing this and they do. I've even had people tell me like, how you got a retail, store and you making 6 figures and you haven't even been doing it 5 years. And I'm just like, don't compare yourself to what I'm doing, because you don't know how long I've been up crying, how we couldn't pay stuff, the things that I lost before we even got to this point. Don't compare yourself to me. Compare yourself to where you want to be and what, make your own goals, your own dreams. Like, you can't compare yourself to other people, because what is for you is for you. And, God might have them on a whole different path. I remember one time, when we first built our house, we had like a tree, how they plant the trees or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So our tree was not growing. It was looking sad, to the point where I told my husband, I'm like, what's wrong with our tree? Like the community is new. So, and I'm seeing other people's trees growing. So he even went, and my husband country, he from Alabama, so he know about, stuff, soil and all this stuff. So he goes to the neighbors, he's like, hey man, what's up with y'all tree? Like, they tree big, beautiful, And so one of the neighbors was like, just dig it up and replant it. And my husband's like, yeah, he's listening to him. He's like, yeah, I don't know about that. And then I was like, well, maybe, I don't know what it is. Well, come to find out, to make a long story short, we had a different type of tree.
Right. So it didn't grow at the same.
It didn't grow at the same pace. But when I tell you now, our tree is huge in front of the house, beautiful tree. And we got like the rose bushes and stuff too. And it grew so big. But I always think about that tree when I'm thinking about the business, because just because you see other people around you, business growing or trees growing, you don't have the same tree. You don't plant the same seed. You don't have the same soil. So you need to be mindful of what you have in front of you and not worry about everybody else's tree growing in that rate, because some of the trees have stopped growing. Some of them are a little bit taller. You know what I mean? Like, focus on my tree. Let me just water my
right. And that's all that you can do. You know what I'm saying? All you can do. My analogy of that is, okay, so we have a neighbor across the street. He has the most beautiful lawn. I mean, like green, they say the grass is greener, grass is greener next door, right? He has the most beautiful lawn. And so, sometimes I just be sitting out there looking at it, like, it's just so. Here's the thing. That man be out there at least once a day doing something to that grass.
Right.
How many times a day y'all go outside and mess with the grass? 0. So as much as I can see how beautiful his grass is, unless I'm willing to put in that level of work, then I can't sit here and say,
that's it.
Oh, well, look at his grass and have an attitude because he's working on his grass.
Exactly.
And a lot of times when, somebody will say, well, how did you do this? Or how did you do that? And I share with them what I did. Then you want to turn up your nose.
Oh, you paid that? I ain't gonna pay nobody out of that. Them conventions, this class, this, that. Like, yeah, that's what I did. You asked me how
that's what I did. So if you're not willing to do that, stop being upset when you see other people's businesses growing in ways that yours is not. Because, like you said, education, investment, and patience. Those are some 3. You hit it you hit the nail on the head with that, because I'm always about ongoing education.
Right.
I don't care how long I've been doing it. I don't care what my background is coming into it. Look, it could be a beginner's class and I must be sitting there watching, because I'm always in a position where I want to learn.
Exactly.
Investment. Oh, I'm gonna put that money in, because what I do know is the Lord brought me to it, and he's gonna bring me to the things that I need to keep it going. He's going to give me everything I need
to
keep it going. But we tend to believe that he just going to sit it in front of us. Sometimes he's sitting in front of us with a price tag.
Right. What you going to do with it?
Because he want to know how serious are you, because you know how to drop that money over there when you're buying clothes.
Right.
He want to know you're going to drop it on this because you said you wanted this. I'm giving it to you. What are you willing to invest in it?
Right.
So that investment is important for you, for your growth, but also for your customer.
Yes.
Because you can't ask people to invest top dollar in you if you're not willing to make that investment in yourself.
Exactly. And we've had people come to they see it immediately, because they go and they ask questions at other places, and then they'll tell you, oh, I went to the other place over there and they didn't know nothing. She couldn't help me with nothing. And I just said, I don't want to talk about nobody else's business, but we can help you, get this done or whatever. But clients, they look at stuff like that. They already done, they selective about who they want to give their money to anyway.
Right.
So that education and that investment, again, is what makes you stand out. If I know that you're an educated person, or you've invested in yourself, or you're a trained professional, I don't mind giving you my money, because I'm paying the people to do what they do. Like, you know what I mean? And I believe in that, whatever it is, I believe in paying people to do what they do, because I don't do it all.
Right. And and that's the thing too, building that community of, most of us are solopreneurs or, small businesses, in the fact that we, have 10 or less employees.
Right.
You can't do all the things, these big companies have a whole department of 10 people that do that one thing. The accounting, that'll be the accounting department. You know what I'm saying? The accounting department got 10 people in it. Like that, we haven't even touched the marketing department and the research department and all of these different. So you can't be good at all those things.
Not be, and there's nothing wrong with not being good at it.
No.
You have to be resourceful. That's how you grow your business, not by trying to hold on to everything and having all the control.
No. When you cheapen your business, you're going to attract cheap customers and you're going to have a cheap experience. That's the beginning and the end of it. When you spread out and spread that love, and you start, investing in other people, you hire an accountant, you hire somebody, and even if you don't have that person on your staff, they're a part of your team.
Right.
They're part of your team. I mean, we did a couple of episodes, financial ones recently. We talked to an accountant, we talked to a financial advisor. So, if y'all didn't catch those episodes, go back and listen to those. But these are all things that you need to get in order.
Yes.
And these are all people that you need on your team. And, we all know what it feels like sometimes to be alone in this. Trying to figure it all out. But when you bring in other professionals, you're not alone no more.
Right.
And they know what they're talking about.
Right. A prime example, we, like I said, begin with the end in mind, right? So when we started, it was never a business. It was just a little, we was doing something. But as I saw that I really like to do it, we thought okay, I want to be able to franchise. I want to start offering, franchise. So we started to do the process or whatever, trying to do it on our own. Come to find out, we go to do our, and for the people that don't know, so our name used to be Balloon King and Queen, right? So that was the company name. So we go to trademark the name, come to find out, came back that there's a Balloon Kings. So his trademark covers the whole royal family. So you can't, in the balloon world, you could not trademark Balloon King and Queen, Balloon Princess. You couldn't trademark any of
that, yeah.
Mind you, matter of fact, this cup right here, when I tell you I had Balloon King and Queen, I had all kind of promotional items and just everything had, this name on it. And come to find out, we had to change everything. God, that it happened earlier in our career versus, later. So me and my husband was talking, he was like, well, we just gonna have to, get it together and hire an attorney, hired a trademark attorney. She ended up, handling everything. But I say that to say, had we called her in the first place, because yeah, I put it in on the website, on the free website to say, you know, was this name trademark, but it didn't give me all the other rules. It didn't give me the laws to say, hey, but this is trademark. You know what I mean? So had we called her in the beginning, we wouldn't have wasted all this money and putting the name on the van and, you know, doing all of this stuff. So if I wanted to stay local, if I wanted to stay in location, I could have still rolled with Balloon King and Queen, but that wasn't the vision. So had I, you know, invested in her earlier to do all of that research, I wouldn't have wasted all that money. So now I think it's very important to, again, knowing your identity, what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. And the plan does change, but you know, if you can, to the greatest capacity that your business could be, like, think about it like that. Yeah, you can change, but work your way up to that spot. That way everything else is covered. So, you know, you have, you know, not just the minimum, but the necessities versus like, I got this opportunity, but I don't have what I need to, you know, accept it. You know what I mean? So you want to be able to open the door when opportunity is knocking and not just like looking at your people like, dang, I can't open it. I don't got no clothes on.
Look, you trying to scramble everything in the washing machine right now. And, you know, but it's the reality of, you know, like you said, it can change. You know, I know my idea about my business has changed over time. It has changed even in the last couple of years. It can change, but if you don't ever have it to begin with, then what are you working towards? Because, you know, this gonna be a spoiler alert for some people. It don't just happen to you. There are a lot of people that I know believe that life, business, all that just happens to you, and this person just luckier than I am, and all this stuff like that. It's not how it works. It doesn't happen to you. I promise you, if you sit down and talk to people that have reached their goals and milestones, they had a plan and they were strategic. You may not see it. They had a goal in mind and they worked towards that goal. They were consistent and they had intentional action. And you may not see all of that on social media or on this or on that because you wasn't there at 3 o'clock in the morning when, you know, when they was having a mental breakdown. Because the math wasn't mathing right and this wasn't happening. All of that stuff, all of that, the work part, the blood, sweat, and tears part, a lot of that happens behind the scenes. It's not something that happens out loud, and even people you know well. Because people don't want to share that stuff. Whether it be you feel like you're a failure or, like even if they do, you can't really know that full experience, and they're not gonna tell you the whole thing, because some stuff you skip over. It's just like I don't even want to remember that no more. You know, like, look, I finished crying. I don't want to talk about it. Exactly. But even if you was there watching it, if you didn't know what you was watching, you didn't see it. Because some people could be right alongside of you, but they don't know where you're going. So they don't know to pay attention yet. They just like, Then when stuff happens and it hits, then they all of a sudden, their attention is focused. They know they paying attention now. But if you wanted to know the roadmap, you should have been watching me back then. Because right now, you know, look, the tree didn't grew. It's big. It got rose bushes around it and everything. But if you want to know how to grow a tree, you had to see me back then when I was trying to nurture it, when it was not growing, when I was sad, when I was like, well, what's wrong with it? That's when the growth was actually happening. It just shows itself at a later time. And so it's really understanding that it's not just by chance. You gotta have that plan. You gotta have that plan. And I'm gonna segue us into, and you gotta have systems in place. You
You got to have systems. Systems is what helps you grow. Systems is what helps you have a mental break. Systems is everything. Like I haven't been to work, honestly, in the last, 2.5 weeks. I haven't even been to the store because I had other stuff going on. We getting ready to open the other store. So I'm like back and forth to North Carolina, setting up a whole bunch of stuff. But had I not had systems in place, they couldn't be running the shop without that. You know what I mean? So even just the smallest things, like I always talk about catalogs and how the lady came in with these colors that I didn't have. Like now I only offer 40 colors. Like either you pick this or you don't get it. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a butthole about it, but this is what I offer. If I don't have what you want, or you can't conform to what I have no problem with you going to another artist that offers that. I'm in retail. I don't do custom designs. This is what I have. This is the selection. And this is what you can choose from, because I don't want all this extra inventory laying around. Nobody else orders this color. Like, that's not my thing. Some people like to do it, but that's not how, we choose to do it. So I feel like your inventory, certain colors, breaking it down to ordering your inventory on a certain day. We always order on Mondays. The truck comes in on Wednesday, so they always know on Wednesdays you're unloading the truck, putting the inventory in, making the counts. When the order comes in, fill out your order form, pull the job, know what you have. So it's just systems like that anybody can do. Because when it starts relying on you and you are the business doesn't work when you leave. And we had that problem for a long time. It was like, oh, is Sheila here? Well, I write down an order or have it in my phone, but nobody else knows what to do because we didn't have a system in place. So I'm like on the phone at the doctor, oh, she wanted red, and just put the, what I'm saying? So it's just like.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so you gotta have systems in place to make it better. If you do, offer the bigger designs or the sculptures or designing the whole thing, have a system in place, have detailed notes so that anybody can take that form and duplicate what you had in mind, regardless of what you're offering. The systems is what grows the business. The systems allows you to, this is in place now. Okay, I already know that they can make everything and all the recipes are the same. Everybody can make it. Now I can step out of production and now I can focus on marketing. Okay, now I have my Facebook campaign running. Now I can step out of marketing and I can hit my corporate sales. Okay, now I brought another team member on to go and talk to corporate people. Now I can step back and just do accounting. Now I got an accountant and she's doing payroll. Now I can step back and go on vacation for a week. That's the ultimate goal. Like put this. Yes. So and you don't have to do it all, but take some steam or take some, I guess, the weight off of your
shoulders. Yes.
You know what I mean? A little bit at a time. You don't have to hit the ground running, but at least crawl.
Do something. Right. This is the thing that cracks me up, because the almost every time I talk to somebody about systems, they say, well, I don't have time to sit there and set that up. You don't have time because you don't have systems. That's the beginning and the end of it. When you have systems create time.
I was just about to say that. Exactly.
They create time, because you don't have to keep doing everything over and over again. And, when you were talking about creating those systems and being able to step back and hand it to somebody else, I want to make sure, because I'm not letting y'all off the hook if it's just you.
Right.
I want to make sure that you still have systems if it's just you. One, because like we said, it frees up your time. But two, because you don't always remember.
No, you don't. And if you are remembering, then we got another problem within itself, because we need to get you some more business. You shouldn't remember every order. You shouldn't remember every client. You know what I mean? And I've been there too. Like me and my husband, we're talking like, oh, remember that lady that came in with the red shirt on? Oh yeah, she got 2 copies. We was like knowing people and knowing
right.
Because it was just us, and not even about it being us. It's just the fact that we remember because we was scrounging together to get the order together, because we didn't have a system in place trying to figure it out.
You remember it because it was a battle scar.
Exactly.
It was a battle
us and back and forth. And he like, you didn't order that. I don't know. Just use you.
Right. No, definitely. But like, I'm thinking about times when I have somebody pull something off my Instagram and say, "Oh, I want this," and I'm sitting up there like, how did I make this?
I don't even remember how I made it.
I don't even remember.
Right.
So even if it's just you designing, create systems for yourself. One, because it makes it easier. You know, when I do a custom piece, I print out the picture of it and I write a recipe while I'm doing it.
Right.
And even if I never get that handwritten into the computer, I have it and I can pull it back when I need it.
Right.
But what I know is that when you do grow and you do have those people come on, it's already in place. You already have all of that in place so that when you're ready to bring people on, which is another grown person topic.
Right.
Stop hiring people if you don't know what those people are being hired to do.
Right.
And then being mad at the people because they're not lightening your load.
Right. But you never told them. You never told them what their responsibilities were.
You have to have responsibilities. You have to have a job description for that person so they clearly know what they're supposed to be doing. And you need to make sure that you are being clear. Because sometimes the problem is you.
Right.
Sometimes the problem is you because you're expecting them to know what you know, but they just came here. They don't know what you. They don't know what you know. They haven't been inside your head, and even if they're another balloon artist, even if you are hiring another artist, we all do things differently.
Right. Different steps or different methods of tying or different ways to put colors together. I remember when we were setting up the Texas studio, I had to remember like everybody doesn't think like me. So it was some things I was even being frustrated because like you said, I wasn't really clear on how it should be. So I'm in my mind, I'm like, how you don't know this goes with this, or, just put air in it, or whatever the case may be. But going back and creating a training manual, this is how we take the order. This is how we put the colors together. This is the size it's on. So it really forced us to get things together because it works good when it's in one place, but when you're trying to duplicate a system to put it in another place, you really have to make sure things are done right. And I still have stuff that we need to work on, but it really forced me to go ahead and, get it done. So I know, when you're trying to grow, those systems are really important, even if that's just adding one person to the team to, help you stretch things out and get yourself going, to lighten the load a little bit.
Right. I definitely agree with that. And it's not, like you said, it's an ongoing process. It's never finished. You're going to always be tweaking and changing and, making it better.
Right.
But don't not start with it at all. And then wonder why, you frustrated, they frustrated, and it's not helping your business to grow. We got to stop just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it's going to stick. We got to really start planning for success. You want to be successful, then plan, put a game plan in place. And, like one of my taglines is helping small businesses play big. These big corporations, the things that you see roll out, they've been in development for years.
Yes.
Before you ever see them hit the scene. The thing about being a small business is you have the flexibility of, you don't have to necessarily take that long with it. You don't have to take a year or 2 years to put a new product out there on the market. But that being said, don't just skip over the process.
Right.
Have a process, have a plan, like you said earlier, have an end game in mind. Because if you just putting it out there and you don't have an end game, so then what's supposed to happen?
Right. You're going to end up anywhere.
Right. If you don't turn on Google Maps and they tell you where to go, and you just start driving, you might end up in Texas, you might end up in Atlanta, you don't know where we are, we don't know where we're going. So we have to be very mindful of doing that. And like we said, investing And then also building community.
Yes. Yes. I think that's important too. It's two other well, three now. A girl just opened last month or 2 months ago. Other balloon, stores in the area. We don't, and a lot of people's like, oh, they'll come in the store. Oh, another store just opened, down the way or whatever. I never look at things as a competition. It's always a community. It's a collaboration. It's support. Like, it's too many people in Columbia. I can't do everybody's party anyway.
Right.
And we sell different. We move different. But I made it my business to go out and meet her, and come to find out she had said she had been following us or whatever. Really nice conversation. We just kind of talked together, and had some one-on-one time, even set up some lunch or whatever. And when I went to take the kids on spring break, some of the girls in the store, they don't do the bigger jobs. Mm-hmm. So I was, left her number at the register and made sure that they passed her information down, to let them know, like, you got other places to go. So we can always refer out. Like, I'm not turning people down. I refer out, but I need to know, your caliber of work, what you're doing. So I don't think that so often we look at people as competition when it shouldn't be that way. Like, if we build a community and build awareness, it's more people, especially for the balloon community. Now more people want balloons, at their events. So let's build that, not, oh, her price is too high, or, oh, she's not charging this. Like, if it's something that you see an issue, pull that business owner to the side and try to talk to them. But really, at the end of the day, it ain't your business. Right. So either they gonna accept it or they not. So, you know what I mean? Like, collaborate and grow together as an industry instead of, that network is important. Being a resourceful person is important. Having a cake baker or a venue, or, because you support other small businesses, because at the end of the day, we know that if we don't get clients, these families don't eat. Like, these businesses are supporting families where you can see the result. This is not a party city or whatever the case may be. Like, you see the results of you supporting these small businesses. So you should never be tearing other people down. I'm not with that. I don't even like when I see people put stuff on Facebook. Like, I ain't gonna even get into that, but just supporting one another.
No, look, I know exactly what you mean, and I'm with you. I'm not bringing negative energy into this place. I'm just not gonna do it. My thing is, I agree with you. I have created community amongst the balloon artists that are here in the area. The ones that I don't know, I just ain't met you yet. That's all. Right. And some people aren't trusting of that type of relationship. Some people, people have different philosophies about it, and I can't control that. That's between you and God. Mm-hmm. The way I'm going to operate is always going to be that, we working out off of, sisterhood and fellowship. And that's how I look at it. If we can help one another, we can help one another. If, sometimes you may not be able to help out, but if you need a supportive, person, then that's the relationship. Right. Like you said, I'm always going to be the person, regardless of the industry. I will be that person to kind of pull you on the side and say, so let's talk about this price.
Right.
Sis, let's have a little conversation about this here price. Right. What your light bill looking like, I'm just saying, because a lot of times we do feel intimidated about charging our worth. And I do feel like, that's something that's important for us to get over that hurdle. And, if you've been successful in raising your price and, how that's grown your business, I feel like, just in a kind of reaching back kind of way, tap the next one on the shoulder and say, now come on now. You may not put them where mine are, and that's neither here nor there, but I want to make sure people are taking care of those families, because like you said, they are families. When you're talking about a small business, we're talking about, real life people, families, not a faceless corporation. You're talking about somebody, their child and they this and they that, and so, but that community is just important. We can't, it's not saying to, put yourself in a position where you're losing business, but you can't you can't grow if you are in that constant competitive energy. You know, that's just, I don't know, it's just my philosophy. I know some people feel differently about it, and that's cool too, but I feel like it's, you know, we better together.
Yeah, yeah.
We better together. And yeah, like you said, I don't, unless there's a reason that I'm turning down a job, like something, you know, there's something wrong with that job. I don't turn down jobs. I refer them out to somebody else who I believe will be able to help them. Or, you know, if I want to go travel, then you know, if I'm out of town that week, then somebody got to do the job. Why not let it be, you know, somebody who I know, and we kick it sometimes, you know, why not?
Exactly.
And, you know, I know that goes both ways. I know that they got my back, you know, like, you know, and anything can happen. I mean, I've heard, you know, with a lot of different artists, like something happened, you know, you are the business.
Yeah.
What happens if you go into the hospital?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens if, you know, something happens, you have, you know, an illness or a death in the family,
and you have to leave, and you already got a job booked.
Right. And so if you have built that community, then you got somebody that's going to jump in and take up that slack. But then I'm gonna tie it right back to them systems.
Yes.
You got to have those systems in order, because otherwise, how will that person know how to come behind you?
Right.
So it's just really just, you know, like I hope, you know, for you guys that are listening, that your wheels are turning as far as that grown folks part of it, because ultimately, you know, your job is to run the business. You may have to carry on these other roles, you know, depending on what your staffing is looking like and everything else. But at the end of the day, you still have to run the business. And so, you know, all of these things that we're talking about are ways to help you run that business more effectively, and to position yourself to where you don't have to be all the things in the business. You know, you may start there. I think we all have started there, you know.
Yeah,
you start absolutely. Out, you don't have, look, you might not have $5 to put in your pocket, so you definitely don't have anything to put on hiring somebody, you know, at the very beginning. But as you grow, you shouldn't stay in that infancy stage forever. You shouldn't be in, you know, that survival mode forever. That's not how it works. And if you're being strategic, if you're putting systems in place, if you are doing all of these things to make sure you're setting your business up to be professional, when you get to that point where you can start to switch from survival to growth, like you said, you're not going to be saying, I don't have my clothes on when they're not at the store. You're going to have everything. You're going to be dressed, ready, hair, makeup, you know, put on the camera. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be ready to go when that happens, you know, so that you can shift into growth. But I feel like we have so many businesses that never leave survival stage.
And when they don't leave survival stage, you don't even have an exit strategy. You can't leave. You have nothing. Like, that's, you know, when you sell your business, you're selling that system. You're selling how things go. You're selling, you know, they want to see proof that this proof of concept that this works. So if you don't have anything to show them, then you have nothing to sell, which means you make no money, because everything that you put into it is now wasted because you didn't document anything. You have no system to sell. You know, you want to sell your name, but I mean, what is that? You know what I mean? So we want to run a business, but this type of job is hard on your body. Like, we can't be tying balloons forever. Like, we just cannot, you know, you can't do it. So you got to have an exit strategy as well. I always say my kids are my exit strategy. I don't care if they take on one of these stores or not. but as much money as we invested in them, they better do something and come back and take care of me.
Right.
But I mean, that's my plan. I invest in them because they are
Right.
one of the exit strategies. So you have to invest in the beginning and the end, whatever, whatever that look like. And so I think it's important to, like you said, don't stay in that infancy stage so long, because it also takes the passion out of what you're doing. And when that passion leaves, you're not serving your people right. And it just becomes, and you giving the industry a bad name, whatever your industry is, when you're not, good customer service and displaying that passion, pouring that passion into your team and creating that passion within your work culture.
Right.
It is very much so displayed when your clients, are on the phone with, your staff, or they see them in the store, whatever, like that stuff passes down, and your staff is going to have the attitude that you have when it comes to those clients.
Right. And then, what's funny, I think a lot of times we don't even notice it. The shift. And, I'll just give a transparency moment. I was in a roundtable group. And so we were meeting once a month, and talking about our businesses. And at that time, it was during COVID, the balloon business was like open-ish. But I was focusing on the coaching business. And so I didn't even realize the vibe that I was giving. Because one of the ladies, I was saying something, we had to share, where we were in each business and what was going on. And one of the ladies said, she said, forgive me if I'm wrong. She said, but I don't know. I just thought that you were kind of like over the balloon business. And I had to sit in that for a minute.
Right.
And I came back, I processed it, and I came back and I responded to her, and I said, no, I said, I did have to sit in that because something that I was giving me
you feel that way. Right.
I said, so, I said, but honestly, it wasn't that I was over the balloon business. I had made a decision personally that I was putting the business on pause.
Okay.
But nobody around me was accepting that decision. So everybody was trying to force me in a direction that I wasn't trying to go in that moment. Right. So that's where the, I guess, attitude kind of was coming from. But it made me have to sit back, and I had to sit with that because I have my moments where I just sit and think on it. Like, when somebody gives me a piece of information, I don't just throw it out just because I don't like it. I have to sit in it. I have to process it. And so when I sat in it, I was just like, how do I feel about this? And that made me dig a little bit deeper. And I'm like, no, I actually love what I do.
Right.
I just, in that moment, was really frustrated because I think that people were trying to mold me into what they wanted me to be.
Right.
And that wasn't the space that I was in that moment. And so it was frustrating me, but I'm like, if it's showing up to her like that, then it's probably showing up to somebody else like that. And now I need to kind of take a step back, refresh, and, and figure out where is that coming from, and let me nip that in the bud.
Right.
So that I could give the energy that I need to give. And I'm sharing that because I know that a lot of people don't realize sometimes when they shift from, oh, I love doing this, to bad attitude.
Right.
Because, like I really, when I made some shifts in my life, I really don't deal well with negative energy.
Yeah.
So like I feel it and I be like, oh, I gotta go. And like a lot of times I'll meet people and I'm like, you ever happy?
Right.
But I don't think that they realize that that's how they're coming off. And like I met a lady this one time. I'm gonna keep it vague because I don't want, keep the innocent, But I met a lady one time and like her energy was like so, like that kind of energy. And I'm like, I really don't like being in her presence. And then I met one of her staff and I was like, I didn't know at the time. And later I found out that they worked together, and I was like, that makes perfect sense. Like, because they both had that same energy.
Right.
But again, when you're not making sure you're fulfilled in that business, when you're not taking care of yourself in that business, that's how you start to show up. You start to show up, with the, kind of sarcastic, kind of, nasty, kind of like, you bothering me. We've all been somewhere where somebody's serving you and you like, well, I'm sorry that I'm interrupting your day.
Okay.
Like, and that's not the energy you want to be giving.
Right.
But it's hard not to give that energy sometimes when you're tired, when you can't figure out how to make this work, when when the bills are coming in, but the money is, not coming in. Right. Those things can pull you out of your natural character.
Oh, it can. It can.
It can pull you out. Not to say that you're a bad person or you're meant to be like that, but it's just the reality of being under that stress. Right. But that's why you have to reach out to your community, to other professionals, to invest in your business, to get help, so that you don't become that person, that doesn't become your constant reality.
Right.
It might be a moment, and it may come back up again. It's not like, just because your business is thriving that it can't stop thriving.
It's a whole nother level. It's just, it happens.
It happens. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be times when you like, Lord, if you're gonna show up right now, would be a good would be a good moment for you to come on through. It's gonna be times like that. That is just a part of being a business owner. But the more that you have your business structured properly, the easier it is to navigate those times.
Right. And I feel like give yourself, I always give myself 24 hours to be sad. Like, if I'm sad about something, if I'm mad about something, if I want to fire somebody, whatever it is, 24 hours. I can sit in it for 24 hours, but the next day is the next day. It's a new day. Let's keep it moving. Like, figure out the solution to fix this problem and let's keep going. But it's nothing wrong with being sad or frustrated and want to quit. I don't want to quit. I don't know. My husband done fired me. I done fired him. We done fired kids. Whatever that looks like for you, it's okay. Just don't sit in it that long. And don't cut nobody no slack. Like, everybody got a job to do, and we all need to step up to the plate and make sure it's done. Whoever it is, and my husband, just child, work with your spouse is a whole different animal. It's a whole different animal. He would quit and be like, you can do this, you go ahead, because I'm not fooling with you. Keep on doing all this stuff, because he would get so frustrated because I didn't have stuff in order. Like, he hates chaos, so he'd just be like, no, I'm not doing it. Like, so it's just we done had some funny moments. Like, that could be a whole nother show.
No, we're gonna have to do a whole nother episode about the spouses, because and to be clear, it ain't always them, because a lot of times it's us. But but that is another layer to it, because it's one thing when you go to a job and you come home and tell your spouse about how the people was at the work. It's another thing when you was the people at the work.
Right, you was the people. Like, they might not even be in it with you full time, but just helping, because our industry is like dominated by women, so a lot of husbands and brothers and stuff help, and so it's just kind of like, we something else.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot, and sometimes I gotta put myself in timeout.
Yeah,
like, just walk away. You having a moment right now, just walk away, because you about to kill everybody. Just walk away. Just go. Look, I don't smoke, but just go take a smoke break. Just because nobody don't seem to understand right now. But no, it definitely, that stress is there. Now, my son is the one that does the firing, so he didn't fire my husband so many times. Even I mean, he was like 5 and 6 years old firing my husband. Like he that's the one. I call him my quality control manager.
Okay.
He'll tell you, no, that's not right. Okay, all right, I will work on it. But no, but it can be very stressful. It's, it's so much that goes on. And I love what you said, that 24 hours, don't sit in it.
Right.
Don't sit in it. And, if even if you just having a moment, reach out. You know what I'm saying? Like, reach out. And to me, the biggest thing is, when you know that you are in your feelings, acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Say it out loud. It don't have to even be to somebody. It could be to yourself, but acknowledge it, because a lot of times our emotions take over us because we're not being honest about how we're feeling. Because, we sitting up there snapping at everybody and everybody did something wrong today. When you know what it really is, I'm stressed out because I know this bill is tomorrow.
Yeah. You had an attitude when you woke up.
Right. I'm afraid because they got this big thing coming up and I'm scared and I'm nervous. And so that's making me act a certain way. But be honest about what that thing is.
Right.
Because it loses its power once you just say it out loud. And then you can address it. You know what? I'm worried about this bill that's coming up. Okay, well, let's look at it like a grown person. What's the bill? How much is it? What do we have coming up? Is there a possibility to delay this bill? Is there what can I go out and sell right now so I can pay for this bill? What can I do?
Right.
What's in my power? And then once you have exhausted your opportunities of what you could do, I mean, look, I don't know everybody's situation, but then I'm gonna sit there and pray on it, Lord.
Right. There ain't nothing you can do.
Lord, I'm about to get this to you now. And then I'm about to move on, because what else can I do?
Right. Because worrying ain't gonna help nothing.
Worry is not going to help a thing. So what else can I do? And y'all know me, I will go take a nap in a minute. So look, pray real quick, take me a little nap, and then just regroup. Yeah. Because the other thing I know is it didn't always work out.
Right.
It's always worked out, because you also got to understand, if you do have that plan, like we've been talking about, you've been planting seeds.
Yeah.
You never know when, like you said, when that tree is going to grow. You never know what day that's going to be.
Yeah, never know.
So sometimes you just sitting there minding your business and you like, oh, it's looking kind of rough. And then something comes that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
But it was from a seed that you planted.
Right.
Long ago.
Years ago.
Yeah. But if you're not out there planting the seeds, they can't never come to harvest. And if you keep digging them and trying to look at them, they're not going to grow either. You like, because people will say, oh, well, I tried this and I tried that and I tried this and it's not working. I'm a questions person. I got questions before I can answer you. Well, how long, what did you do exactly? How long did you do it? How many times did you do it? Oh, well, I made this one post on this one day.
No patience. That microwave generation, no patience.
That's not enough. You know how many things people see in a day? You know how many images come across in a day? I still have people who I know on my timeline that be like, oh, you do balloons? Really?
Right.
For real? For real? You serious though? But it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have so much that they are consuming. They're not catching everything.
Right.
And they got their own life that they're dealing with and their own situations. So when you're trying to break through all that noise, it's going to take a minute.
Right.
It's going to take a minute. It takes a while before people really get to know you and see you and, that consistency.
Yeah.
You know how I know you? And when you said about the old name, I was like, see, that's why I was so thrown off, because I remember you guys as the king and queen. But how I remember you is because every Friday, every Friday, y'all would be on there doing a live together.
Yeah.
Every Friday, without fail, every Friday. And so that just stuck out in my mind. I meet a lot of people all the time, but that sticks out in my mind. But that's consistency, that's showing up, and that's how you get people to, really pay attention. Because the other thing is, people do business with people they know, like, and trust.
That's right. Yep.
First, they got to get to know you. So you have to show up for them to get to know you. You have to know who your target audience is to get that like factor.
Right.
And that trust factor comes from your consistency. Because when people see you and you don't go away, because people open businesses all the time. Everybody
they do. Left and right every Friday.
Everybody got their friend that has been 12 things already this year.
Yes.
People switch up. People do, and they may be finding themselves, whatever that looks like, but people switch up. So people need to see you be consistent to build that trust, because they like, okay, this is not somebody that's just trying to get some quick money during COVID. Right. This is not somebody that's just trying to, get some quick money, on the side. This is a business.
Right.
They've been around and they gonna be around. And I feel comfortable in trusting them with my money, even though I may not have ever met them before, because I feel, because that consistency gives me trust.
Yeah.
But when you're not doing any of those things, you can't say, oh, well, it's not working. You didn't do those parts.
Right. And that's why
just because you did them for 2 weeks, that ain't it.
Yeah.
I've done business with people that I've met 2 years prior to me doing business with them.
And they stand out. Now you might come back around to a card, or when they make such an impact on what they do, that whenever an event comes up or something comes up in your life that you need that thing, that is who you will go back to.
That's it.
It like you said, watering those seeds, and you just have to wait on it to grow. It might not be, you could meet the one person that you really made an impact on, and they told somebody about your business. They didn't use you, but it's a year later, they telling somebody about your business, and that is your, golden egg. Like that person just keeps, what I mean? I had one realtor that we did like a bouquet for. His wife loved us, just, thought our customer service was good, everything. Well, he referred us to his church. And when I tell you his church ordered something, I ain't never seen church order that many balloons in their life. I ain't complaining, but when I tell you they have something about every Sunday, like it is like a standing appointment. Like we met him this time ago, but when his church had one thing come up, and then we connected with them. Like now, like she always like, oh, they're my balloon people. Like she just know what it is. So like that became consistent because of a seed we planted months ago. We were never trying to get something out of it. It was just the way we operate. That's who we are. That's our character, and our character allowed us to get more business. So we don't treat people different because we know they got money or they got everybody the same.
You walk in your authentic truth, and that is what resonates with people. And like you said, don't, my grandma would say, no respect the person. Don't treat people differently because of who you think that they are, or what you think that they have.
Right.
Because I've had some people who made inquiries and I was outside of their budget.
Yeah.
But I wasn't outside of their business budget. So when their business needed something, they say, well, you were so helpful to me here. Then they came back over here. Right. So, or sometimes that might be their budget for that event.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that might not be their budget all the time.
Right.
So some people get nasty with people because they're not their ideal customer, or they don't do that. Don't be that person. Like, treat them the same all the time. And you never know it. Some people will size people up without even really. Oh, that drives me crazy. I'll tell a quick story. When I used to work in a hotel, and there was a bellman, and he was younger, and it was two couples came in at the same time. And one of them, they looked like they had money, all of this. And then there was another couple. It was an older Black couple. And I mean, you could tell that they didn't have a lot of money. And when the lady checked in, she had won the trip.
Okay.
Teacher of the year. So she won this trip. And so I'm watching him, and I'm like getting aggravated because he's, fawning all over this other couple and ignoring this couple, the lady that won the trip.
Yeah.
So I'm getting aggravated, because I can't stand people mistreating people. That's that's a deal breaker for me. Like, if you want to break up with me, that's gonna be the thing. So yeah, she's checking in or whatever like that, and so she actually ended up because like when we worked at the front desk, you could upsell people into a nicer room. So since she wasn't paying for the room, she went with the upsell so she could get a nicer room. So she was just paying the difference. So she went with that. I got her into a nicer room and all of this. And so I realized that she hadn't signed the form that she needed to sign. So I called her and I said, I realized you didn't sign the form. She said, well, I'll come back down. I said, no, that was my mistake, not your mistake. I'll come up and bring it to you. So she said, oh, okay. She said, can you check on the bellman though, because I haven't got my bags yet. I said, well, I'll check on them. So I checked. He was still going with this other couple, right? So I go upstairs, I bring her the form, she signs off the form, puts a $20 bill in my hand. I said, ma'am, you don't have to tip me. She said, no, you came up here. She said, you've been very nice, this and the other. Now she didn't tip me, plus we get a commission when we upsell them to a room. Right. So he come back downstairs, he mad because he didn't went upstairs with these people that he decided was rich. Came back downstairs and they gave him $2. I said, come here. So I take him on the side. I said, see this $20 right here? I said, that was your tip if you would have brought them people their bags. Right. I said, so don't judge a book by its cover. That's just not a good way to be. And, and I know that wasn't the point of what we're talking about, but I just want to put that out there. Right. Because you can be losing business that way. Yeah. Because people pay attention to how you treat them, and that will make a difference of when they got that money in their pocket next time, if they're going to go with you. Or like you said, they may be planting a seed to somebody else. You may be too expensive for them, but that doesn't mean that they don't know somebody who has some money, who's, willing to spend. And, on my contact form, I constantly get people referring people to me. And when I look at the referral name, I'm like, I don't know who they are. Yeah, right. So I know it's like a friend of a friend of a friend or something, because I don't even know who that person is. Right. So, you carry yourself with integrity everywhere you go. That's right. Because that impression that you leave on somebody is going to make or break the growth of your business. Right. But look, we can go all night. Yeah, we can. We can stay on here 4 hours. Like, we can go all night. So I'm going to do the wrap up questions, but I'm definitely going to have you back, because we might just have to make a topic out of these marital situations in the business. Because look, you have to learn some things to hold on to the business and the marriage. Right. Because sometimes I'm like, Lord. Right. I love this man, but I won't fight him right now. All right, so here are the wrap-up questions. So tell me about your favorite pair of pajamas.
Okay, so my favorite pair of pajamas is Coffee O'Clock. This is my I love coffee. I love tea. I can drink it in the morning, at night. It don't matter. I'll drink it. So this, I just like this set, and it's got some cute little pants that's really like slouchy. I just like it because it makes me, feel comfortable. I know when I have this on, like if I'm starting my day, I get my thoughts together. I'm drinking my coffee. When I'm ending my day is over. I'm drinking my coffee. Like I got a cup right now of some tea. So it just makes me feel relaxed and comfortable. And I know my day is done, or I'm about to start a good productive day. So I know like something about to happen in the day when I put these on. So I just like them. And my mama bought them for me.
That makes them extra special. That always makes them extra special. Okay, so finish this sentence for me. My time freedom allows me to
travel, try new restaurants, go to the spa, spend time with my family.
I love every one of those. Every single one. Okay, so what is the best advice that you could give someone that's seeking the profits in pajamas lifestyle?
Oh, there's so many. I would probably say be profitable instead of being popular. Start with the end in mind, and make sure you have education, execution, and patience.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. And I want you to tell us a little bit more about, because I know you do consulting for the business credit. Right. And I really do feel like this is something that, we all need to look into, make sure that we're doing so that everything is in that business's name. So how do people get in contact with you to set up a consultation, and what does that look like?
Okay, so they can go to my Facebook page. It's Sheila Fluker, Sheila, F as in Frank, Luker, Sheila Fluker. And then like on, I think it's the about, they can click on the Calendly. Yeah. Yes. The invite, it'll have my name. It says the Balloon Queen. We have a free 15-minute consultation, so I can just do a discovery call, kind of see where they are and what direction we need to go. Or if they're like ready to jump in, we can do a strategy session, and that way we kind of set up trade lines, make sure we have everything in place. And it's like a tiered thing, so we can do it by the hour. And then we're also coming out with a 4-week boot camp, but that's a little bit later. But yeah, they can just book there, do a free discovery call, then we can jump in and kind of get their credit going so that they can make money off other people's money and be a company and not a side hustle. So yeah.
Awesome. And I will share the link in the show notes. So just look at the notes below the show once it post, and you'll be able to get to that link so you can get that consultation, or like she said, if you're ready to just jump in, just go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, just jump in. Just jump in.
Because I mean, you need it. It's just one more step to getting your business in the right direction. And even if you've been in business for a while, like myself, like when I went in, my mentor at that time was all about making sure you didn't, that you started your business without debt. But then now, as I'm like getting further into it, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have to go into debt, but having that credit and that ability to, expand when you need to is important. It's very important.
And a lot of people think because, when we got out the military and stuff like that, like a lot of people think, oh, when your credit is bad, you can't have business credit, which, yeah, you are personal guarantee on a lot of things. But my strategy is like to build it up through tiers. So the accounts, the trade lines that we, start the clients with is all things that don't need a personal guarantee. So it doesn't matter what your personal credit looks like. If it's bad or whatever, we're starting, net 30 accounts and trade lines lines and gas cards and, just different stuff like that. So we know how it is for the back end to be messed up, because as business owners, we put a lot into our businesses and it messes up our personal life because it happened to us.
Right.
So, you don't worry about your personal credit. We're not starting from that tier. Obviously, you do want to work on that later. But we, start you out with things that don't require a personal guarantee. And then we build up to those other things, the cars and the corporate leases and leasing a rental space and all of that stuff. Like, we build up to that. And in the program, we do stay with you every step of the way.
And that is beautiful. And I'm glad that you shared that part, because I like to put out all of the, the objections.
Right.
Because we find ways not to do things that we need to do. Oh, well, maybe because it is. Oh, this is not bad. I want to challenge you. One, Sheila just told you that that's not even an issue. So just move forward.
Right.
But not just in this, in all things, stopping before time.
Yeah.
Go find out. Don't create an obstacle in your mind and then stop because of that obstacle. Go find out. Let the person tell you no.
Right.
That it can't work before you just decide that it can't work. And then you find out, 10 years later, when you finally feel like your credit is in a good space or this, that, and the other, when you feel like that, then all of a sudden you're going to go and you find out the information, and then you find out you could have did this 10 years ago.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, I know I've done it, and I've been sitting up there like, really? That's all it took,
Yeah.
I know other people have, done it with different things. Like, people come to me as a business owner and say, well, I'm struggling with this. And I'm like, well, did you try this? Well, I was waiting for what? Mm-hmm. We got to stop waiting. Go find out. Go to the source. Go find out the information. Go to the experts and get the information you need to make sure you're moving forward and progressing in your business.
Absolutely.
So, Sheila, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I have enjoyed you as a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad that you reached out and that you came on. And I know that, the audience is going to get so much from this conversation. And I am really about to sit here and think about this whole spouses thing, because I feel like we got to come back on that one. We might have to bring the spouses on too, so we get a balance.
Okay.
So we get a balanced conversation.
Right.
But it is, to have long-lasting marriages and that business connection that's a whole nother conversation, and it could bring a lot of joy, but there gonna be some moments if we're gonna keep it real.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you. And like I said, I'm gonna put the links in the show notes. Of course, I'm Coach Janie D. If you are looking for a business coach, you can always reach out at coachjanied.com. That's going to be in the notes as well. And I do have a luxury brand workshop that is coming up in a couple of weeks. I want to say July 20th, but I'm not looking at a calendar right now, but I'll put the details in the show notes. So make sure you sign up for that workshop, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the Profits in Pajamas podcast. I hope you got some great tips to start working with ease. Want to stay connected? Follow me at Your Workflow on Instagram. For more information about building your luxury brand, register for my upcoming luxury brand workshop at coachdanied.com.